So this is my Howa1500 short action chambered in .308 Winchester. It's a limited series that Howa made, the flat dark earth with the Hogue overmold stock, cryptic, I think that's the camouflage pattern. It is kind of a floppy stock, and I've done some work to it to make it useful. I stiffened the forend and bedded the action. It is a straight comb for the stock, so you're going to have to build that comb piece up to get a proper cheek weld and eye relief. I used a tactical sharpshooter's rifle stock pack and then used some foam underneath to build it up. It does have this nice little pouch on the side here, so you can put useful things like spare ammunition, milled-out master, kestrel, whatever it is that you're using to make those long-range shots. It even has this cool little tearaway tab here, and you can put a little shell carrier. On top of the rifle, I have a DNZ one-piece 30mm mount. And then on top of that, I have the primary arms 4-14x44 mil scope. It is illuminated, and it has the primary arms RGrid. I'm using a Burris scope level and Butler Creek scope caps. The power ring is easy to adjust, and the illumination has an offsetting in between each setting. It has target style turrets. They are audible, even kind of tactile, but there's a little bit of lash in between each of those clicks. It doesn't always end up right where you want it to be. Let's take a look at this reticle. This is where you make your money back on this scope. It's the RGrid. It's a mil-radium based reticle, Christmas tree style, made famous by Horus Vision scopes. Basically, if you have a dope chart and you know the distance to your target, you just hold over. You don't have to mess with those turrets. And on this scope, I probably wouldn't trust them. I've seen some tests out there, and they may or may not be the most reliable as far as tracking goes. But the reticle is always going to be true as long as you have it zeroed at 100 yards and you hold over correctly and do your part. It's going to put that round right where you want it. It does have a rangefinder in the top right-hand corner. It's an 18-inch from side to side, or a man-sized target from shoulder to shoulder. You can range them from 400 all the way out to 1,000. One of my qualms with this reticle is that the lines can be kind of thick, and so if you're doing unknown distance shooting and trying to range a target, it can be a little difficult with this reticle. Now, it is a first focal plane, and we're at max power, 14 power. Notice that horseshoe in the center. That becomes real useful when we back this reticle up all the way to 4 power. So again, this is a first focal plane reticle, so as we zoom out, the reticle gets smaller, and as you can see, all those indication marks, they're useless. You can't really make them out, but that's where the horseshoe becomes really useful, because if you're back at 4 power, you're probably just taking like a 50-yard or 100-yard shot. You're not doing holdovers, and you can make out that reticle, that horseshoe, very clearly. So let's take some shots with this at distance. Pretty good. maybe just a touch low to the left. Dead center. One more just for good measure. Hold it to the left, it looks like a good 0. It's 650 yards. Let's just go for it. And we missed. Oh well, let's back it up. 500 on a little 8-inch steel target. .9 mils of drop. Hit about 2.5 inches to the right, but centered in the plate. Alright, 650 yards on a human-sized silhouette. There we go. Hit. 725 yards. Holding 7 mils of elevation and 0.3 left for wind. Impact.